fame up in lights, he just wants to be heard. Whether it's the beat or the mic, he feels so unlike everybody else, alone. In spite of the fact that some people still think that they know him, but fuck him, he knows the code. It's not about the salary, it's all about reality and making some noise, making a story, making sure his click stays up. That means when he puts it down, Tox picking it up. Let's go.
Who the hell is he anyway? He never really talks much, never concerned with status, but still leaving him starstruck. Humble through opportunities given despite the fact that many misjudge him because he makes a living from writing raps. Put it together himself, now the picture connects. Never asking for someone's help or to get some respect. He's only focused on what he wrote. His will is beyond reach, and now it all unfolds. The skill of an artist. This is 20% skill, 80% fear, be 100% clear, cause Ryu was ill. Who would've thought he'd be the one that set the West in flames? And I heard him wreck it with the crystal method, name of the game. Came back, dropped Megadeth, took him to church. I like Bleach, man. Ryu had the stupidest verse, this dude is the truth. Now everybody giving them guest spots and stocks through the roof. I heard he fucking with that stock.
This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
They call him Ryu, he's sick and he's spitting fire and Mike. Got him out the dryer, he's hot. Found him in Fort Minor with top, but a fucking nihilist porcupine. He's a prick, he's a cock. The type women wanna be within rappers, hope he gets shot. 8 years in the making, patiently waiting to blow. Now the record with your notice taking over the globe. He's got a partner in crime, his shit is equally dope. You won't believe the kind of shit that comes out of this kid's throat. Top. He's not your everyday on the block. He knows how to work with what he's got, making his way to the top. He often gets a comment on his name. People keep asking him, was it given that birth or does it stand for an acronym? No, he's living proof. Let him rock in the booth. He'll get you buzzing quicker than a shot of vodka with juice. Him and his crew are known around as one of the best. Dedicated to what they do and give 100%.
Forget Mike, nobody really knows how or why he works so hard. It seems like he's never got time because he writes every note and he writes every line. And I've seen him at work when that light goes on in his mind. It's like a design is written in his head every time before he even touches a key or speaks in a rhyme. And those motherfuckers he runs with, the kids that he signed, ridiculous, without even trying. How do they do it? This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name. Yeah. Fort Minor, M. Shinoda, styles of beyond. Ryu, Talk Beer, Machine Shop.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Hump Day of the Uninformed Fan. We are a couple days away from NFL playoffs. We have the NCAA championship behind us. All signs going forward to NFL action and NFL action only. We have the Gap Wedge Wednesday boys coming in to once again present the cashing checks from last week and give you the tickets for the future to cash again this week. Jeffrey, how are we doing today? I see that we're ready on the Bucks clothing apparel already in anticipation for the Monday Night Football game.
The Bucks apparel, you know, we might only have 2 days, so I have this and I have Friday, and then, you know, I guess there is Monday.
And Monday.
I'm tired, man. I'm sorry. I'm up all night. Went home straight after work last night. I'm like,
I did like the hairdo this morning. I'm not gonna lie.
Ready to go for the pod today. You know, fired up, yada yada yada, and I get home and my 6-month-old has different ideas. So he was up from like 1:30 to like 4:45, 5, and then my I told you in the pre-show, my son, very proud of him, my oldest in 5th grade, made the school's spelling bee. So very exciting. He made it through the first few rounds. Unfortunately, just got knocked out, but was up a little bit earlier than I normally am before hopping on the podcast to support him. And
I like early Jeff. I like early Jeff.
I don't know.
We just need a cup of coffee in you. That's all. You'd be surprised.
I
wake up like a zombie, and then the best part of waking up, hits your lips. And I'll tell you though, sometimes my coffee, because I grind it out of espresso beans, I start flying a little high. But like right now I'm coming down because I had my coffee this morning because I'm back into the stocks and stuff. So waking up a little earlier. So I could really use another cup right now, to be perfectly honest with you. I can feel my eyes starting to get into what I like to call the Buffington zone.
Locked in.
Pun intended, Buff. Love you.
I've never been a coffee guy for some reason.
It's not pleasant to drink.
I hit like a Monster or something here and there, but for the most part, like the caffeine, I don't know. It's just all natural.
That's why I don't like. That's why I don't like energy drinks. I mean, think about the times at Boathouse. I was thinking about this the other night when I was making stuff.
Yeah.
Me and Mark used to do Red Bull bombs with double espressos and a half a can of Red Bull. Like that's a little much. I mean, literally, you're cracking a Red Bull, pouring half and half, and then getting a double espresso shot, dropping it in there like a Jaeger bomb, and chugging it. Needless to say, we got done cleaning very quickly.
Boathouse is a different animal, though. Like you watch bartenders there, and you're just like, dude, that's a different. It's a different.
It's not level. Pleasurable. By any means. It's not pleasurable.
Like, it's a show because of how busy it is. You know what I mean? Like, it's a show that, like, they are still able to give you hospitality, and it's that busy. It's absolutely insane. Speaking of, I get the honor and privilege of taking care of a few Boathouse people tonight coming into my restaurant in terms of Becky Seeger and Tony Tracy. So, very excited to take care of the pending newlyweds.
Yeah, nice. We are actually heading out to dinner tonight as well. It is Bianca's birthday.
Happy birthday, B.
We will be heading over to the Four Seasons, up to one of our favorite restaurants, Michelin star, Kappa.
Lost their star.
Love it. They lost? When? Already?
This year.
They got the star in 2023. How are they already out?
I believe they got it in 2022, but I don't know. Somebody just told me the other day that they lost it. One of my managers told me they lost it, actually. Who knows? I've also heard it's interesting. They're a little short-staffed over there right now, so it's a little bit tougher service-wise. But I'm sure you guys will have a great time.
Well, you know what? That'll just be it. I'll just go in there and be like, listen, the service here was a little slow. You know, Bart, like, yeah. I got a solution for you.
Chop, you know?
You know, I got denied over there for there's something wrong with my resume or something, dude. AM on call. Denied. I was talking to Ian yesterday because Unreserved had a bartender posting, and I texted him. I was like, "That's the place downstairs, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." I go, "Okay." I go, "Well, I'm gonna put it in there anyway. I'll let you know when I get my rejection letter." It's kind of comical at this point. I think I've applied at 20 Marriott jobs, and I've never gotten a call.
Well, I told you it took me a year and a half to get a call back here. So
crazy.
Now I'm very blessed and highly favored. Coffee is life.
I'm
How
still
are you alive? I don't know, man.
I'm still showing Kappa with a star on the Michelin Guide website.
Find out when you go in.
Definitely. We'll have that to report back to you on Friday. Absolutely. Let's get into it. We got the NCAA championship. Michigan and Jim Harbaugh wins the first championship since, I think, what was it? 1970?
No, they had a split championship.
1997. 1997. I think it was Nebraska. I think it was with.
Split championship.
So congratulations to the University of Michigan, all of our fans out there that I know. Jeff Scott down in Texas, Jeff Petch here in Winter Garden. I know there's a couple more that I'm forgetting, but congratulations to you guys. It's nice to see that the Midwest boys finally getting a little bit of love over there. I have to tell you, though, it was not a good game to watch at all.
No, it sucked.
I thought that Michigan probably was not even going to have to throw the ball the entire game. It was that lopsided. But yeah.
I think Greasy was there. I want to say Greasy was the quarterback back then for some reason. I'm not really sure. But yeah, I think
I'll let you know when the 3-time types it in and we figure it out.
Split championship.
Yeah, I mean, but what a great performance by Blake Corum. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the NFL. How much of that translates? I know he's a smaller guy. But it reminds me a lot of like Maurice Jones-Drew, the Jaguars legend. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Anyway, Michigan gets it done 13-34. Penix Jr., very tough game. Very, very tough game. Probably one of his worst games at the worst moment. Unfortunate for them. I don't think it was necessarily a matter of anything that Michigan was doing either. He missed some straight up wide open throws. I don't know if it was just the nerves of the game, or maybe I don't know if he's 100% healthy or what. Obviously, his draft stock went down a little bit there, but as many of the other commentators have provided, you could easily get that stock back via the combine, but it's not going to come all the way back because you want to look at game time situations, and when the biggest game, the biggest thing was on the line, unfortunately, he just did not show up. Very rough game for him there, so we'll see what the future holds for him. Jeff, comments and thoughts on the game?
Yeah. Because for me, the thing is that, like, any quarterback that is getting just blasted every single time he drops back and they're only rushing 4 people against your 5 offensive linemen, I feel like you don't have a puncher's chance because all they're doing is dropping.
Really?
Yeah, why? Yeah, well, why?
Isn't that what we just said to Justin Fields?
When?
Literally almost every game. With the Packer game? Would we not just say that? That he had no chance or whatever?
I said he got sacked 5 times, but he had a second and a half more to throw the ball than Jordan Love. So I think that's more of a
that number is skewed by the scrambles. But anyway, back to it. I just think
Michigan didn't have to bring pressure. Michigan put him into tough decisions in bad zones and made him rush throws. If you looked at it, his mechanics broke down tons and tons of times because he literally had no time to throw. When he steps into his throw, when his shoulder stays closed, when he stays on target, I think he's great. It feels like his shoulder was wide open. He was flicking the ball a lot. He was getting a lot of balls that were sailing over guys' heads. Also, his wide receivers dropped a few passes, too, if we're going to be honest. There was a lot of balls that hit people in the hands. If you look at one of the interceptions that he threw, it was the first play coming out of half. He drops back. The guy literally bull rushes his guy so hard that he steps on his ankle, right? And you see his ankle.
That one was, crazy.
And he's trying to throw the ball away, and the Michigan DB makes a great play. Gets it gets knocked out of his hands, he still catches it and goes down. Listen, I thought that there was big plays by Michigan on the ground, but if you look at it overall, like without those what's his name, Donovan Edwards runs, right? He has 6 carries for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns. He goes absolutely nuts in the first quarter. I thought it was pretty manageable for the most part. I felt like they stood up to the test of stopping the run, and in key situations they turned J.J. McCarthy into a thrower, which we see what happens when that is 10 of 18 for 140 yards and a 58.4 QBR. Kind of terrible, if I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like Tate Rodemaker from Florida State might have been able to put up very similar numbers.
Well, let's not get in there because obviously Tate was watching the game like the rest of us. I feel like J.J. McCarthy
and one of the best defenses in the entire NCAA football, but we weren't allowed to be in.
We're not doing this every week. I can't wait I'm so glad college football's over, so I don't have to hear it again this year because I know it'll pick up next year right where we laid off. I feel like J.J. McCarthy's like the Stetson Bennett of the college world, right? Wins a national championship, nobody gives a shit.
I don't see J.J. McCarthy as a pro. I don't think he can make any throws. I don't think he moves the pocket well. I don't think he's prototypical for anything. I would say listen, Stetson Bennett at least could run. Right?
JJ had a couple scrambles there.
He had like one when they were on like the 1 or 2 yard line, and there was a third down, and the seas parted, and he scampered.
Hey.
And, there we are.
You're right, Buff. Penix did look nervous. I mean, he did. I mean, but it's just one of those things.
I don't know. I just don't think he had any time. I think it's very easy to say that, but when a team is literally beating you. 4 of their guys versus 5 of your guys, and you are having to rush every single throw that you have. Sure, yeah, you're going to look nervous, but I don't think he was nervous. Also, it looked like his ribs were hurt at some point. He had that.
Well, towards the end of the game, he looked in absolute shambles. I felt really bad for him at the end of the game. I thought,
but like all that being said, like we look at the score and we say it was 34-13. It wasn't that competitive. Well, it was 20-13 with 8 minutes left. Yeah. Like it's not like this was like a blowout. It was a game, but it was bad football. It just didn't.
It became a blowout, I think, when Penix was obviously hurt, and he couldn't make throws. I mean, that's just where. I mean, towards the end of the game, I felt really bad for him. I mean, if you're Washington, honestly, you didn't have a chance with him in that game anymore. I mean, he was in so much pain. But what are you going to do? I mean, you're not going to pull him out. It was a very bad situation there at the end. Michigan does get it done. Brings a little bit.
They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't run the ball at all.
They couldn't do anything. But I mean. have they been able to run the ball the entire year, though? Or was it all on Pinnock's arm and those receivers and getting open and being able to move the ball through the air?
I think they've been running it effectively, but if you look at, they kept on giving it to Dylan Johnson, who's at 70% health. Like, it looked like there was times when he had an open lane, and a healthy running back should be hitting that hole and picking up 6 or 7 yards. He wasn't doing any of that. He was getting 3 yards and a ball of dust because the defensive line was closing on him so hard. The linebackers were crashing down so hard. He had no shot whatsoever.
I want to get in a room with you, and I want to review some Justin Fields tape with you. And I want to get your opinion on some stuff, just for my own personal. You know what? Let's do this. Let's have a film breakdown. I love that. You know what? There's a guy on YouTube. He runs the QB school. He does this, and that's where I started off listening. You know, when I was talking about Justin can't read the fields. I mean, he just. But then he also brought up a lot of the offensive schematics that were just completely asinine, which we are going to get into that. But we're not going to get into that yet.
Last year.
So, you know, one of the most impressive things that I did see out of this was Jim Harbaugh and that coaching staff. Because to what we just said, J.J. McCarthy is not the most stellar quarterback that's ever played the game, nor is he even getting any NFL looks after winning the national championship. This was a complete team that was built through the trenches, which in this day and age is extremely hard. When you look at the teams that are the flashy teams, the teams that you expect to compete, they all have that big standout quarterback, right? It's all about the quarterback. They built this team through running smash mouth football. Obviously, you're playing in the Big Ten as well. I just kudos to Jim Harbaugh and the staff. Now, we can talk about this cheating scandal and we talk about the sign stealing and things of that nature, but, you know, just like pretty much anybody that have actually been in there, played football, coaching, stuff of like all of this kind of stuff, have said you still have to execute. You still have to do it regardless if you know what's happening. And they did that regardless. At the end of it, you know, everybody's having up their blankets, holding the signs. I just find it absolutely hilarious. Does the cheating scandal tarnish this victory in your mind for the Michigan Wolverines?
Does Deflategate or Spygate tarnish the Patriots?
I think it just depends on who your arch rivals, yes, but the global aspect, no. Nobody's gonna remember that shit.
There's your answer.
I know my answer. I was asking your answer.
Do the Red Sox being implicated in some sort of a scandal to go along with the Astros around that time? Does that also?
I will say the Astros one has stuck. That one has stuck. I mean, we heard that on one of the, I can't remember the football broadcast when somebody's beaten. They're like,
Al Michaels.
Yeah.
Al Michaels goes, I can't, baseball season must be close. I hear, trash cans being banged on here in Houston.
That one has stuck. But I don't think when you look at the record books, everybody's going to be like, oh yeah, that was the one. Unless you played them in the World Series, they played the Yankees that year, correct?
Yes.
So I'm sure Yankees fans probably still hold that in high regard. Like I said,
they didn't play the Yankees in the World Series. They played the Dodgers in the World Series, but the Yankees, I believe,
the
ALCS before they got there.
So
a lot of the ways, real quick, a lot of the ways that I had always viewed the Patriots back in the day was that the Patriots, was it considered cheating or was it considering taking advantage of rules that were not written? And I've always viewed it as it's a tough argument because if there is no rule about it and you're smart enough to be able to get around whatever the rule is, then good for you. If you're blatantly breaking a rule that's already been laid down, then that's one thing. But if you're creating a rule because you're so innovative and genius that you are doing something that nobody's ever done before, then kudos to you. I'm never going to judge you for it. I look at it
this way: can't you steal signs by just rewatching the tape of a game?
Dude,
I mean, right now NBC they zoom in on the coaches while they're literally covering their face, and you can read the entire sheet.
Well, it's like who was talking about Texas when ESPN first came out with the Longhorn Network, and they literally televised every single Texas practice. Yeah, it was like a station on ESPN. So it was like if you're Oklahoma or somebody, you can just hire somebody to watch their practice the entire time and be like, oh, this is what they're doing.
Doesn't that kind of go along with Hard Knocks a little bit too?
I don't know. I feel like
Especially the
watching
in-season?
Hard Knocks, the in-season one is tough, I guess. Man, the Curse of Hard Knocks, if you look at it as well too. Like,
I've never watched this. I actually started to watch this one, and I couldn't. Aaron Rodgers, as much as I actually kind of like the guy, I
Yeah.
can't stand the dude on the field. I turned it off.
To be honest with you, the best thing about Hard Knocks, and we all, if you watch it, I think one of the best things is you get to know guys who you wouldn't know before, and you root for them going forward to make a cut or make a team, or like I'll always remember Richie James for the Houston Texans wearing crazy socks and being one of the fastest kids and trying to make the team and playing special teams, and the wide receivers for the Jets this year, who ended up the one kid, what was his name? Scored the touchdown against the Bills, but he was one of the last the punt return against the Bills. Gibson, I believe, he was one of the last guys who they thought they were going to cut. And so you just get emotionally invested into these guys because you see their backstory, and that's one of the best things that Hard Knocks does. I don't know if you get the same during the season, right? Because you're not really emotionally investing into these guys or their journey through making a cut of a team. It's the middle of the season. So I don't know. It's very interesting. I don't know how much information you get off of Hard Knocks, but do I consider the sign stealing scandal a big deal? Absolutely not. Not at all. Now, as a Florida State fan, do I want to use it as an argument to say I can't believe you're going to let these cheaters in?
Oh my God! Here we go.
Absolutely.
Here we go. As Buff said, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. You always got to try to bend those limits a little bit. Now, the biggest question is, does Jim Harbaugh leave college football and head to the NFL? I say he does. I think that this whole NIL, this new I think that it's really pissing some of the older coaches off. I really do. I don't think, to your point, I don't think that they want to deal with that. I don't think they want to adapt to what's going on. I mean, when you think about the life of a college coach, you have no days off. There's no off season. You're every single day on the phone trying to recruit, trying to game plan, trying to build something. And not only that, with this NIL and the transfer portal, now that you get them, you have to coddle them to make sure that they're 100% happy so they don't leave. I think Jim Harbaugh is 100% gone to the NFL. My only question is, what teams do you think Jim Harbaugh is going to go to? Obviously, we just saw the Chicago Bears are keeping Matt Eberflus. For the love of God, whatever.
News, if you didn't hear it before the podcast started, but.
And we are going to get into the rest of the Black Monday and some other changes on the coaching staff. So Chicago's out. Where do you think Jim Harbaugh? I think he goes back to the West Coast. I think he goes to the Chargers. I think he gets Justin Herbert in the Chargers. And honestly, that would probably be the best thing to happen to Justin Herbert's career. You're having a head coach, former NFL quarterback, regardless of what you think of how he performed in his career. He has played at that level, knows he's a proven winner. I think Shannon Sharp or somebody said it the best. Every program that Jim Harbaugh has went into, he has left better. And there's very few coaches that you can say that. Very, very few that you can say that about it. So, I wanted him to the Bears. I want a proven coach. I'm sick of this revolving door. We brought in John Fox one time and, whatever. That didn't work out. It just, it seems like we're always rolling the dice in Chicago. I mean, but that's just, and we're going to do it in this draft. We're going to do it. We're going to do it this draft again. So, where do you think Jim Harbaugh lands, Jeffrey?
That's a tough one. It really is. I think if I know how they are and what they've done, what they're starting to do now in Washington, I feel like that will be a real landing spot. Because I think they'll be able to put a strong case forward in terms of new leadership, analytics. You have the number 2 overall draft pick. It looks like you're probably going to get Caleb Williams because it looks like the Bears are now going to stay pat. And if you don't, there's other guys there to get as well too. I really like the Washington, whatever they're going to be here.
Goes and lives close to his brother.
You're right there. It makes things easy. You're also not in the same conference as your brother, so you're able to meet in the Super Bowl at some point and have a Harbaugh Bowl again. Listen, I understand that if you're going to say a ready-made roster and an already proven quarterback, you have a guy like Justin Herbert, right, out on the West Coast. You have an amazing defense, and Khalil Mack and Bosa and Derwin James, and just they have a good roster. Keenan Allen, like they
Austin Eckler.
He's a free agent this year, but all signs point to him probably returning there. Then you have the Raiders, and I know Harbaugh has said when he leaves, if he leaves the NFL, it wants to be to a storied franchise that he's able to help go turn around. But do you want to step into a situation where you don't have a quarterback? You don't really – there's uncertainty about where you're going to be able to get one. There's uncertainty about whether Devontae Adams wants to be there long term. Antonio Pierce just did such a good job of turning these guys around and playing so well. Do you want to put yourself out there to then maybe have Davis be like, you know what, I think I'm going to stick with Antonio Pierce. The guys seem to really like him. I don't know. I feel like because of that, I feel like the only two options to me would be either Washington or it would be the LA Chargers. And I just think when you look at Bob Myers taking over and the direction that the Harris group is going to want to take that franchise in, I don't know. I kind of like that. The NFC East is very high profile as well, too. You get a lot of 1 o'clock games. You got a lot of national televised games. West Coast is a little bit tougher when it comes to those 4 o'clock slates. You're a little bit more in the back.
Don't you think that there's more eyes on the 4 o'clock games because there's only 3 or 4?
I don't think so.
No?
I think there's more. I would say there's more eyes in the NFC East because of the high profile teams, right? The huge fan bases that you have when it comes to the Giants, when it comes to the Eagles.
He gets excited, starts throwing around his microphone. This is the way it is.
I talk with my hands. I'm a server. But when it comes to the Giants, when it comes to the Eagles, when it comes to the Cowboys, probably the biggest brand in all of football, I think you want to be a part of that and be gravitating in that situation. So I think Washington should be very much in play here. Very, very much in play here.
I don't think you can rule it out. So let's get into some of these Black Monday. The week of Black Monday continues. Mike Vrabel out as the Tennessee Titans head coach. This was
Terrible.
There was rumors of this. There was underlying tones about this being done. However, this is a crazy fire in my opinion. I mean, he is with what he's done, with what he's been given. I think he's done an absolutely amazing job, and I know that there's people clamoring to have him, and I think he will be scooped up fast. So to your point, Washington, they need to get in and they need to hire that director of football operations ASAP, because they are also asked for permission to interview the assistant general manager for the Bears. The Bears are asking permission to interview Eric Bieniemy for their offensive coordinator job, which Washington has said hold on because they want to get their director of football operations in there to make these decisions. That needs to happen sooner than later. Obviously, there's going to be underlying people saying that Mike Vrabel to the Patriots based on his connections. We talked about this a little bit in the pre-show in regards to if you're ready to move on from Bill Belichick, arguably one of the best coaches of all time, who's came out and said, I want to continue coaching, which I'm assuming he probably wants to go for the all-time win record, which he's, I think, 12 games away or something of that nature. I think that, to your point, so you're going to bring in Vrabel, who played for Belichick, who's been a part of the Patriot system, that knows what it's like over there. However, he does have his own style. I don't know. I think it would be an easy transition. I think Patriot fans would be all about it. But who are you going to get to replace Bill Belichick?
Yeah. Do you want to go with a guy who was already a Belichick disciple, or maybe not a disciple in terms of coaching way he coaches, but definitely played for him, was definitely the guy for Bill Belichick, and it's like there's already rumors of a guy like Josh McDaniels coming back to be offensive coordinator as well too. It's like, are we really getting the band back together here? Are you going to hire Danny Amendola or Julian Edelman as a wide receiver coach? Like, what?
Wes Welker's down in Miami. He'll probably be available.
If the Patriots want to move on from the Belichick era, I think you just need to rip the Band-Aid off and completely move on. I don't think you need to continue to bring in people who were part of that regime. Just doesn't make sense.
There's so many questions in New England, too. Who's your quarterback? Is it Zappy? Is it Jones? There's so many questions that are happening in New England. Obviously, they are sitting at number 3. So they're in prime position to either get Caleb Williams or Drake May or a Penix Jr. I don't see them getting a Penix Jr. I don't think he will go that high. This in from the 3-time, however, ESPN has J.J. McCarthy going 12th to the Denver Broncos. I think that's about 35 picks too high.
That's about 30 rounds too high.
Yeah.
J.J. McCarthy should be drafted anywhere before day 4, but whatever. That's just
That is kind of crazy. That just tells me that the Denver Broncos are, well, I mean, maybe that's just a lame duck. You have lame duck coaches, right? Maybe that's a lame duck quarterback to get to eat the Russell Wilson salary. I don't know. I don't.
That makes zero sense at all. You're going to pay the quarterback the exact same amount of money depending on their draft position, not depending on how good they are.
Well, maybe they want a veteran, and maybe there's a veteran coming up that's going to be a free agent or something. I don't know. How do you even make sense of this? That's my point here. How do you even make sense of this? Moving on from Russell Wilson, who honestly, arguably, was having a good second half of the season in Denver, had turned it around, just doesn't get along with Sean Payton. That's another quarterback for a landing spot that I think that is going to be a highly coveted pick. There has been connections with him to the Washington Commanders as well.
To go back to the Vrabel thing, and I think this will be very interesting because let's get through these first round of games. I can ask you a question. Do you think that if, let's say for some crazy reason, let's say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers beat the Philadelphia Eagles on Monday,
Sirianni is not getting fired. And I think that's absolutely crazy to even think that.
Are we sure? Are we sure?
I'm not sure.
No.
The Eagles have done some other things. They fired Doug Peterson, I think, 2 years removed from the Super Bowl.
Andy Reid. You know what I mean? Like, they have moved on. They have moved on from coaches quicker than any other franchise. When they think that something is wrong or something's going on, they move on from it.
And I do like that about them. I wish the Bears had a little bit more of that.
It's an amazing trait to be able to flip a switch like that.
But I think that with Sirianni, I think it was more of just the coaching tree that we saw. You know, he lost his offensive coordinator to go to Indianapolis. Obviously, that had a huge impact. He's got to replace that. And then the defensive coordinator position is an absolute shambles. He demoted his one and put in Matt Patricia, who hasn't done well as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of issues there. I don't think that you could move on from him after 1 year. I mean, you did start 10-1. There's been some shaky stuff going on here. I don't know their injuries. I don't really follow the Eagles that well anymore. But obviously, this is a team that's severely underachieving. To say that he is not going to be fired, I think would be egregious because, as we just said, the Eagles love to pull the Band-Aid right away, and I love that. I absolutely love that. Eagles fans are already claiming it. If the Eagles go into the Tampa Bay and lose that game, everybody's in trouble over there. Everybody.
Absolutely. They should be. And listen, we talked about this before. The locker room looks broken, does it not? It looks like they have I don't want to say mutiny, but it looks like they are
But we've also talked about that at times with Tampa Bay. We've also said I do believe you said on the show that Todd Bowles has lost that locker room. Now you go back. Yeah, so but I mean, you go back a couple games ago. Now all of a sudden it looks like it can't. I think it can be salvaged, but he's got to do some serious hiring. He's got to. It's the same thing as the Bears, which we're going to talk about here right now. You got to get a serious offensive coordinator, one that fits your quarterback. What's the guy's name that went to Indianapolis? I don't want to keep saying that guy. The guy that left Shane Steichen, you know, you need something like that. And that's exactly what you need with the Jalen Hurts type quarterback, even Justin Fields, Baltimore, Lamar Jackson. You have to have an offensive coordinator that knows exactly how to work your quarterback. You have a quarterback with arguably one of the, top 5 talents in the league. You could say that about Lamar Jackson. You could say that about Jalen Hurts. You could say it about Justin Fields, regardless of his decision making. We're talking about a pure talent level, speed, running, all of this. I'm not talking about decision makings. I'm not talking about brain or IQ. I'm just talking about physical talent. You have to get somebody in there to do it and to see what this defense. I think that's probably the most disappointing part about this Philadelphia Eagles team. Because when we talked about them, especially after the draft and getting Jalen Carter and all of this stuff in the first 5 games, we're like, this defense is unstoppable. Now it's Swiss cheese. It's absolute Swiss cheese.
They went out and traded for Kevin Byard, who is an unbelievable safety. You go out, you pick up, Shaq Leonard, who gets cut, who ends up going there as well too. I mean, there's no reason that Philly should be in this position, but they are, and so that's what raises these red flags. I think a guy like Vrabel would be amazing there, personally. Now, would that be a problem for a guy like AJ Brown, who came from Vrabel, who they may not have had the best,
Well, I don't think that was a Mike Vrabel decision.
You're right. I know.
I mean, that came down to money. That just came down to money.
Vrabel, I think Vrabel actually, that might have been the start of this.
And it actually got the GM fired from the Titans.
It might be the start of this when Vrabel, I think when they traded him, there was a video of Vrabel throwing something in the war room that night. And so, yeah, maybe that's the beginning of the end for Vrabel if we're going to look at the writing on the wall. Very interesting. You mentioned something else that I saw in the pre-show, which I would never have pegged, but you said Kirby Smart is going to listen to the Atlanta Falcons?
Yes, and if you remember about this, weeks ago, this story leaked about this, and it goes back, that story kind of goes back to what I was talking about with Jim Harbaugh and the dealings with NIL, with, all of this transfer portals, because Georgia also had some people transfer out, 5-4 stars.
20 kids.
Yeah,
20 kids, but
I don't think
kids who weren't playing.
I think after this point, with what Georgia has done, and what Kirby Smart has done in Georgia, he's won back-to-back titles. He should have been in the playoffs this year as well, and I do believe if Georgia was in there, they probably would have been in that title game as well. And from what I saw from Michigan, I think they would have handled it. So, with that being said, why do I want to stay in this system where I have to work year-round, where I have to coddle people year-round, where I have to worry about my team and my stars leaving just as somebody waves a bigger bag? And if I'm a college coach and I have the ability to go to the NFL, I'm going all day long. There's no way I'm dealing with this shit anymore. And I think, again, when you've won back-to-back titles, I don't know, Jeremy, maybe you could tell me how many coaches have actually done this. It's got to be a handful. What else do you have to prove on that level? I mean, you can stick around and try to be a legend like Nick Saban, but are you going to be? I think those days are done. Those days are done, regardless of what Alabama did underneath the table, who they were paying, how they were getting these teams. But for probably 8 years, it was Alabama and nobody else. I do believe this was the first class that if you were a freshman and graduated, this was the first time that you didn't win a national championship in like a decade. I mean,
no more Joe Paterno's, Bobby Bowden's, Nick Saban's.
Ball coach, Steve Spurrier's. It's gone.
If you look at Kirby Smart's comments that he made after the Orange Bowl, with the debacle of what was Georgia and Florida State. If you look at those comments, it was all about how the college system is broken and about how the way that they have the transfer portal set up and the way that early signing day works now, there's no time for anybody to be able to figure something out or go play in a bowl game or do whatever you want to do, play for your team. You have to make a decision immediately. And it's not fair to the kids, and it's not fair to anybody right now in the system. The system is broken. So
the system is 100% broken, and that's why I think you got to entertain that. Other than the guaranteed money in NCAA for coaches, because that is egregious. The fact that Jimbo's getting like $70 million, not even coaching, which I don't think that NFL salaries are that big and structured that well to where
it was 10 years, $75 million, right? Was the original contract?
He's typing right now, something like that. It was. I think he's getting $70 million left or something like that.
And then they extended him, like last year or the year before.
After he got the number one recruiting class.
Yeah, number one recruiting class in the history of college football. There's never been a more highly rated class than what Jimbo Fisher had the first year of NIL. Tough, man.
Crazy.
Tough.
Crazy. So, with that being said, Black Money that changes, Chicago Bears fans, the time that you guys have all been waiting for here is you didn't get the double joint Christmas present, but you did get one nicely wrapped. Luke Getsy is finally gone. QB coach gone. I do believe there's pretty much going to be the entire staff at the end of the day. You might have some lower
head coach.
You might have some lower levels, except for Matt Eberflus. It appears that he is going to keep his job, which I don't know. I don't know how to. I mean, we've talked about this. You saw such a shit team, right? And we saw a little inkling of progression out of the Chicago Bears to finish the season, and apparently that's enough to keep the head coach. I said, if you can't get Jim Harbaugh, there's probably no sense in changing unless you can get a Vrabel. One of these guys that are absolutely proven, then I see no reason to move on from him, because you're just trading proven shit for unproven shit, which is kind of the quarterback controversy that we were talking about. It's tough to read this. I will say that Eberflus does seem, for whatever reason, to have that locker room on lockdown, to where the players actually enjoy playing for him outside of whatever the blitz that he called on 3rd and 15, where he had the lineman guarding the back that gave him a first down that we lost that game. I can't remember, Jeremy, if you want to tell me, where the defense actually came out and said afterwards, we didn't agree with that play call. Well, of course you didn't, because it didn't fucking work because nobody did their job. But regardless, on paper.
What was that again?
I can't remember. It was 3rd and 15, and literally that play cost the game. And it was one of those ones where we were up like 10 points in the fourth quarter. I don't know how to read this. You could read this in the same fact, okay, well, Justin Fields is going to come back for next year, right? So this is going to be his 4th year. This is going to be his evaluation year, but you're going to give him a brand new OC? Or you can look at it this way as, okay, they're bringing in a brand new OC for the new quarterback. You can read this. I think it's kind of whichever way that you want to read this is what you're going to read it. And that's all you can say. Now, Ryan,
that was the Browns game, right?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was the Browns game. It was 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 18, and the Bears blitzed. It was either the tight end or the back that went out to the side. They had their edge guy trying to cover him. I do believe it was 93, and he just got cooked. They almost got to Joe Flacco, but they didn't. Joe Flacco throws the butterfly. It just kind of floats in the air forever, right in his hands. First down, and that was the ball game. And yeah, that they came out and criticized Eberflus on that play call after that.
Well, listen, some of these losses I'm going to circle, right? Absolutely on Eberflus. We're going to start off.
Well, you got to think about the Denver game.
The Denver Broncos.
The prevent defense that prevents nothing. But I don't know, can you really blame Eberflus? Because when I look across the National Football League, I see this every fucking game. Every game. A team gets up by 14.
Vikings. 19-13.
The Raiders, they beat the Raiders, but you might as well throw it in there as well. But look at first half versus second half.
The Detroit Lions.
First game.
Lions.
Yeah.
No, the second game against the Lions, you guys lost 31-26. Oh yeah, first.
You could say the first game too. Look at the first half versus the second half. There's no coaching adjustments by the Chicago Bears. I don't know.
The Cleveland Browns, 20-17.
It was Njoku, 3rd and 15, and they put a D lineman on him.
And then it finishes up. I just thought it was a bad coaching job against the Packers, but that's just me. I think there was more of an offensive bad coaching job than it was a defensive.
I think that I would not be surprised if I see Luke Getsy on the Packers staff by the end of the week, because it sure seemed to be like he was still coaching for the Packers. That's just the way I felt about it. But yes. Eberflus is keeping his job. Chicago, you only get one new shiny toy. I don't know. I've really been trying to deal with this all morning long as far as how to read this. I don't know. I would think if you were going to get a new quarterback, you would not have a lame duck coach. And with that being said, I don't think, and yes, if Matt Eberflus and they draft a new quarterback, he is on a 1-year leash, just like anybody else, because of the past 2 seasons' performance. So I don't think that you put a new quarterback into a new NFL system with a coach that's a lame duck coach. I really feel like this is we're gonna keep Justin Fields, but we're not gonna pick up that 5th-year option yet. We are going to draft Marvin Harrison. We are going to build the trenches, and then we will make an evaluation off everybody. But to Jeremy's point, this is going to be Justin Fields' 3rd offensive coordinator in 4 years. It's just egregious. It's just egregious. We'll see. I don't know.
Hopefully they find somebody who has his ear. I think this is a huge gamble by your franchise. Huge gamble by your franchise.
We just suck.
Well, yeah, but you have an opportunity to reset everything. You can go get a brand new head coach, a brand new quarterback. You can keep the weapons around you. You can keep the roster intact. You can build through the draft, which you have all these picks. You're going to have very good rookie contracts for the next few years. This is very dangerous.
Well, let me just tell you this, Jeffrey, because I know that you've just now been paying more attention to the Bears since we've started our show, as I have been paying more attention. We have done this numerous times, and it never works. That's all I'm going to say. We have reset. We've been fresh. We've done this numerous times. We have not signed the veterans because we want to get the lower contract. We wouldn't give Brian Urlacher the $1 million veteran minimum to come back. We wouldn't give Devin Hester the $1 million minimum to have him back. We have hit the reset button so many times that Bears fans doesn't know where it starts and where it ends.
Sounds like this is a bad ownership group.
It's terrible. It's terrible. They need to sell. The McCaskies have no idea what the fuck they're doing. They just need to get. They just need to. I wish I could become a billionaire and buy the Chicago Bears and to save all of the Bears Nation from the debacle that we continue to deal with week in and week out, season in and season out. And I think the biggest part of it is we get no communication from the Bears. Even after you make a signing, we get political answers. Well, this was the right thing to do to keep the team cohesiveness, and we're looking forward to the future, and the future is going to be bright, and we're going to make some changes. We had a great practice, the combine was great, and everything was great, and we're going to look forward to move forward. No, just fucking say, you know what? We had a shit year. This guy sucked at his job. This guy sucked at his job. They're gone. If you suck at your job, you should be fired. It's just the way of anywhere else. It's just the same as anywhere else. If you're waiting tables and you have 10 tables a night and you suck at 4 of them, but you do great at 6 of them, and you get 4 customer complaints and 6 hallelujahs, they don't say, well, you had 6 hallelujahs. Yeah, I think you're good for another shift. Fuck no. You're going to be like, you got 4 complaints. They said that you were dog shit. Get the fuck out of here. But in professional sports, it's wait and see.
Long live Eberflus. He's standing, you know.
We'll see. I will say this, as we talked about, there were some good changes that were made. I just don't know. I mean, are you going to continue to be the defensive coordinator? I don't know, man.
What do you do with the number 1 pick here? Because this is it. This is it. You've now committed to Justin Fields. You've now committed to Matt Eberflus.
I don't think they've committed to Justin Fields.
Okay.
I don't think they have.
I don't think you can bring in a rookie quarterback with a lame duck head coach.
I agree. But as we've talked about, the Bears don't always do the right thing. As a matter of fact, they usually do the opposite. So therefore, I don't know. The number 1 pick, I will tell you this. I said it throughout the entire time. I think you trade back. But honestly, I don't know anymore. I really don't. I watched a video that my cousin sent me, and I can't remember which Bears legend it was, but he was talking about the Packer game, and he goes, I want a quarterback like the Packers have. The one that can stand there while he's being rushed and deliver the ball where it needs to be delivered. When you look at the Green Bay Packers and their weapons, what weapons do they have that's so much better than Chicago Bears?
None.
And it's hard to argue with things like that. Now, I will say this. I do believe that the offensive game plan for the Green Bay Packers annihilated Matt Eberflus's defensive plan, and he made no changes. And for that, I can't understand how the fuck he's back. That part I can't understand. You didn't change anything. And regardless of what you want to say about the offense, okay, yeah, the defense allowed 17 points or whatever the fuck it was. You did make the changes that you needed to play to shut them down. And I think that's where we go for. So, when I look at stuff like that, I say, you know what? How can you argue with that? He's right. So I don't know. I think if it was me, again, I think that going into next year, I think at least the devil that you have with Justin Fields. And I do believe that Justin Fields can be a quarterback with proper coaching. And proper play calls and plays that are designed for him to be able to get him into his comfort zone, whatever it may be. It's not a offensive coordinator bring in your system and Justin Fields adapt. That's not the way this works. It works by, hey, I'm your offensive coordinator, Justin. What type of plays do you like? What type of plays makes you feel more comfortable? And then I take that and I evaluate the success rate of those plays in the NFL versus the defenses that you're facing, and you make adjustments. Well, we can do that on this team because they run this type of defense, but on this one, you really have to watch out for man coverage. This is where you have to be able to alter routes. This is where I need you to call the drag route. This is where I need you to call a curl on DJ Moore on the outside when he's one-on-one. This is where you need Darnell Mooney to drag across, and you have to drag out the play, but with your legs in order for him to get open. I don't see any of that. That's all. I don't see any adjustments. So for me, number 1 pick, I'm trading it again. I think that, as you said, there's strong ties to Washington for Caleb Williams. New England wants a quarterback as well. There's a lot of QB hungry teams. I will say this, though. You can't draft back and not get Marvin Harrison Jr. So wherever you can trade to get him still, that's where you need to be. And again, as I said, if everything sucks again next year, at least you have a good roster for a new quarterback to come in versus a complete rebuild, as we've seen in many other teams that doesn't work out.
2 quick thoughts. We're going to move on to Gap Wedge Wednesday, and this is what I have for you real quick, is that the issue with that is that you're going to have to go to Justin Fields right now and say, listen, Justin, there's going to be a lot of shit that's going to be leaked out. I need you to know that we're sticking with you. You're not getting traded. Okay? I guarantee you're not getting traded. Stay strong. We have to do this because we have to put it out that we need value out of the pick. And if everybody knows that we're going to stick with you, then all of a sudden that pick has no value whatsoever because they know we're taking Marvin Harrison Jr.
100%.
So what you have to do is you have to go to Justin Fields, tell him, look, no matter what happens, we're going to stick with you. Then you leak. We're thinking about moving on from Justin Fields. We are accepting trade offers, blah, blah, blah. Then you start panic through everything. Okay? That's my first thought. That's
correct.
A must. If that's the stance you're going to take, you have to do that. The second part to this, though, is that when you keep Justin Fields and you keep Matt Eberflus, if you look at your division, where do you think you are going to rank in your division?
Well, I mean, I think that the Bears could have finished second in that division very easily. I mean, we just talked about the 3 games. The Denver up 28-7, Detroit up 26-14, and Browns up 17-7, all losses. You add those 3 losses, they're number 2 in the division. They're in the playoffs. So, and I think that's the only thing that kept him involved, is if you clean up some of those little mistakes, I think that if you clean up the little mistakes and if you add Marvin Harrison Jr. and whatever progression that Justin Fields has to go through, you have a shot at winning that division, 100%. You have a shot.
The other thing I would do too is I would get a really good backup. Because
Tyson Bagent, did well. He won 2 games. You got to think
the way that Justin Fields plays football is not conducive to staying healthy throughout an entire year.
Well, neither is the way that the refs call him playing football. The guy that gets 0 calls.
There was a lot of quarterback injuries. There were certain people that were very blessed to not be injured that are always injured. Most of them are running quarterbacks, right? Like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. These guys actually went through an entire year of not getting hurt unbelievably. That is not the norm, right? We saw Justin Fields miss time. You got to have a decent backup quarterback. I wouldn't even matter if you had Jacoby Brissett, as your backup quarterback who can come in. You bring in Eric Bieniemy. I have no problem with that plan. But there are factors that are going to have to go into this, and it's going to be a little convoluted and complicated.
Absolutely. Smoke and mirrors, baby. Smoke and mirrors. Yeah. You have to think that everyone, you're taking Caleb Williams. 100%. Yeah. In the back rooms, you have to tell Justin Fields that he's your guy. Don't worry about it. And
he has to trust you. He has to trust you. And he's
under contract, so it doesn't really matter.
It does matter because it matters about how much that kid is going to. There's confidence issues that go into this, and you have to portray to him that he has all the confidence in the world in the organization. It's just a smoke and mirrors campaign.
I just think, closing thought. I just think Marvin Harrison Jr. grew up with DJ Moore. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. coming from Ohio State has connections with Justin Fields. All 3 of those guys are all friends and have a good rapport. I think that if you're the front office, you glue them together for a year and see what the fuck happens.
I'm with it.
Let's get it. Well, it is Wednesday, and it is Gap Wedge Wednesday. If you want to bring the boys in, J-Town. Did we cash last week? We did cash last week. A lot of the top 20 picks that came through. There was even some top 5 picks. A couple little meltdowns on Sunday and Saturday. Tended to skew a little bit of the things. But welcome in, boys. Welcome to Gap Wedge Wednesday. Happy to have you in here.
Good morning.
Good.
The energy is up to 15.
I don't know if there was any meltdowns, but I mean, it definitely. Listen, I have an Akshay come through there, and all he really needs is a birdie on 18 to possibly force a playoff. You can't blame the guy. The guy shot 10 under. There's nothing.
Hey, Jeff, not
Akshay. I'm sorry, Sahith Theegala. My bad.
Yeah. Akshay melted down.
I'm such a racist piece of shit.
Okay.
Theegala, Batia, what the fuck are where are these guys from?
Well, but in fairness, right, Batia, he he was one of the better caches that we had. He did hit the putt on 18 to make top 20, and he was such a long shot that ended up working out pretty well for us as well too.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the week and how it played out?
I mean, obviously, like you said, pulled off some top 5s, 10s, 20s. So it was a profitable week. I think 75% of my card, at least, was a top 20. So when you're doing stuff like that, then you're definitely making money. So
when I was looking at it, we had like 6 of the top 10 on Saturday going into it, and obviously such an opportunity with Akshay going in to be able to cash a huge ticket there.
Sahith.
No, I'm saying Akshay to start the round.
Yeah, to start there, and he was.
Yeah. I mean, Heath was great too, a great number, but Akshay was an insane number, and to have that number out there with a possibility that you're thinking going into the last round, there's a possibility for this thing to cash, was incredible as well. Paul, what do you think about the week, the way it played out?
Yeah, one of the things Chad and I discussed on that was Akshay's going to be a guy this year. Anytime there's going to be wind, he's going to be on the card. So anytime we're expecting wind, anything coastal, anything, even Texas, if we're expecting, 15 miles an hour, Texas, that kind of stuff, he's a wind player. He and Kirk both kind of established themselves as the front runners there on Saturday when the wind got up, and then when it laid back down on Sunday, you saw the ball strikers really come out and get back to the top. Yeah, tough. Chris Kirk made putts all week. He had he gained 11 strokes. It's 10.9, but 11 strokes on the green. Sahith had almost 6. So
to gain 11 strokes. To gain 11 strokes putting and win by 1 is unreal.
Yeah.
The shot on 17 too, ice in his veins, man. Like to hit that shot in that moment, knowing what you have on 18 coming up, it was impressive, and it was deflating altogether. It was like, I think Dean Smith has this line where it's like sometimes you just have to look a guy in the eye and say nice shot. Like you just shake his hand and say nice shot. Like you play great defense, you do everything, but sometimes a guy just makes a shot. And Chris Kirk made the shot. It was very impressive.
Yeah, and with Akshay starting off with that double bogey.
Yeah.
That's, as Pat McAfee said, sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles.
Yep. Was what it was. Overall, an incredible week, though. I mean, a truly incredible week. I don't know what we had top 20 wise, but I definitely, I've committed myself to taking these every single week, no matter what. I'm going to either go broke and be homeless, or I'm going to be very happy. So far, I'm very happy. So here we are.
Please play responsibly.
Gamble responsibly.
Yes.
I'm glad we took care of you week 1, Jeff.
Yeah, let's see how we got week 2, though.
I'm jumping in week 2, so be prepared.
Yeah,
don't
worry.
Shit.
This is when the stock takes a tumble.
It's like, and I'm sitting there talking with Tyson. I'm like, bro, this is incredible. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know. I took all of them, top 5, top 10, top 20, and winners. And I'm looking at it before the round starts, and there's 6 out of the top 10 are our guys. Like, this is incredible. And then Tyson's like, that's it. I'm all in. Like, okay, here we go.
Well, at least we'll know who the curse is if that happens this way.
I am a walking curse, so just be ready for it. Maybe scale back your unit size this week.
How did Luca play last night?
He did not. Paul mentioned his name, and he didn't do it.
Didn't come through.
You just got to text me those personally, Chad, and then that way Paul doesn't see me.
Exactly.
If Paul sees the name, then we already know what time it is, and we're up to it without a battle. So it is what
Paul reads the word Luca, it's fucked.
If your team is playing the Mavericks, just send me a text.
Heard that. All right, so we're moving on. Obviously, just put a cap on it. Congratulations to Mr. Kirk out there. One of the most iconic courses every single year that they play out there. But we are on to the Sony Open in Hawaii. I'm going to need some help pronouncing the country club name. I don't want to butcher it.
It's Wailea.
Wailea. That makes sense.
It's in
Wailea.
Honolulu.
What are we looking at here, Paulie?
Very different than last week. So last week we had par 73. We had one of the longest courses on tour, and enormous greens. These greens are a little smaller, 7,100 yards, 7,100 square feet on those greens. They are still Bermuda. The course is a par 70 and just 44 yards over 7,000. So not the same type of course at all. This is more a positional course. Going to need a little bit better accuracy off the tee. I'll let Chad tell you a little bit about the rest of the stuff we're looking at.
What are we looking at here, Chatty Daddy?
Yeah, we got oh, hey, caught me off guard there.
As you should have.
Yeah, we like he was saying, it's a positional course. A lot of dog legs, and with it being shorter, a lot of guys are gonna be not hitting driver off the tee. It's a course where, with the dog legs, you have to position your ball in the fairway, certain spots where you have an angle in. Rough's not very penal. It's 3-inch long. It's longer than it used to be. They grew it from 2 to 3, and last year they started that.
Can all use an extra inch.
If it only was that easy.
Everyone
it's
can.
a grower, not a shower.
Yeah.
That's how you get the nickname Daddy, you know. So I guess, but the rough's a little longer now than it used to be. So it did play a little harder last year, but it's a green and regulation style course. Paul was saying to me last night that he was finding out that you can still make the green in regulation if you're in the rough. It's not going to kill you, but you want to be in the fairway where you can have, your spin on the ball, to make sure you can put it closer to the pin and have better chances at birdie. But there are runoff on the green, so it does make it a little harder when you can't control the spin on your ball. So, a lot of guys are not going to be hitting his driver as much as they were last week. So you guys like one guy that can hit a driver anywhere and then has a great approach is Eric Cole. We were talking about how, guys like that are not going to be as prominent this week as they were last week. And so, that's why we're not going to be looking at Eric Cole this week. Just a hint.
Heard that, Eric Cole off the board, but maybe there's some, I don't know, older guys maybe that we are targeting here, or some other people. What are we looking at top of the board? What are we thinking in terms of that top range that we have? If I'm looking at my Hard Rock Bet app here, when I open it up, some of the top guys, you got Hatton, Fitzpatrick, Harmon, Henley, Ludwig, Albert.
That was pretty good.
Is there anybody top of the board there that we're looking at to focus on this week?
A guy that I'm going back to at the top of the board is JT Poston.
Yeah,
he's a fairway approach kind of guy, decent putter, so plays well in Hawaii. He's really the only guy I'm really looking at for me specifically that's within like the top 25 and under range for I know Paul's got a couple guys I think he likes up top.
What do you think about it, Paul?
Yeah, so I mentioned Ludwig Aubert last week, and his odds improved this week. Larger field. He didn't play great last week as far as his showing. But he did shoot 10 under one of the days. I'm going to bet him anytime he is north of 14. That's what I've promised myself. 14 or better on this guy for the season. Okay. So I'm showing 16 at Hard Rock.
Yep.
Not going to be a huge bet, but something maybe to cover the card.
Right.
Just he's going to win this year, and I'm not going to miss it. So
I'll go out on a limb and say he's going to win multiple this year. He's got that type of player.
Yeah, he's just one of the best in the world. He just is.
Anybody else you like up there?
Yeah, well,
I mean,
I
our
like
our
the way-
model talks about Henley, but I just don't. I don't feel it.
Love that.
the
What about anybody middle or middle to the pack?
well, I will say just while we're at the top is Chris Kirk is the type of player, while he's probably not going to gain 11 strokes on the green again, his putter is working. I hate that they continue every time he's on the screen to talk about, what he went through years ago and
Alcoholism.
what he's overcome and everything else. Same with Camilo Villegas. You know, let the guy live, please. Just at some point, you just have to let these guys be golfers again. And Chris Kirk is obviously a world-class golfer, but we know he didn't go out and party this weekend.
Right. He's not coming off a bender.
Yeah, so
He is the type of guy that can win back to back. I see where
yeah,
you're going with this.
yeah. And if you're gonna put the money on a guy to go back to back, he was just 110 or 100, 200, whatever he was to win last week. He's now 25, but he's obviously in form.
I think Kirk was
And
80.
He's enjoying whatever he was.
Yeah, it was up there.
He's enjoying Hawaii. So
No Mai Tais.
just keep an eye on that. That's all I'm saying. Middle of the pack, I like Adam Svensson. I'm gonna you're gonna hear that name a lot this season from me. So I think that's one of the guys there in the middle. And Chad already mentioned Poston at 30, whether that's top or middle. Ben On is another guy who hits the ball relatively straight and quite far.
Usually good.
So here's the other thing I'm going to say because of everything we're saying right now. We've already mentioned probably 7 names. If we don't by the end of the show narrow it down to wherever we're at, we're usually at about 10% of the field, right? So if it's 150, we try to get to somewhere around 12 guys that we'll mention for, here's a long shot, here's some favorites, whatever else. Last week was 59 guys. We gave you 6. I think 7 was Tagala at the end of the show because it was mispriced. So we try to keep it right around 10% of the field so that you're not betting every guy on the list. We are narrowing it down at this point, but we're going to mention guys that we like or where we're at. And then you can take that information on a Wednesday morning and look at some of the stuff that we're telling you. Guys who have putted well, guys who putt well on Bermuda. Ben Griffin, I don't think is in this field, but that's a Bermuda Ben mention that we would say. So just guys who putt well maybe on Bermuda, guys who hit fairways, guys who play courses like this well. You want par 70s, under 7,200 yards. We use Fantasy National. So fantasynationalgolfclub.com. Great website as far as information generated. Don't be afraid to grab a membership on there. No free ads, whatever. But take that. So what I'm saying all of this to say, we're going to say a lot of names and hopefully we'll tie it up at the end with a little better of a card. So I'll let Chad speak now.
Well, I fell asleep there for a minute.
Yeah, sorry, buddy.
My mid-range guys, there's a few that I would put on my card because I'm not going to go heavy, or I only like posting up top.
Yeah.
I like Cam Davis again.
Back to that well.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing. Like the Sony, you want guys that have played last week or in Hawaii last week, or like same hemisphere, like 20 21, I believe, or 22. Cam Smith won. He hadn't played in the Century, but he played in Australia, the Australia Cup, a couple weeks before the Sony, and he came out there and won. Do you want guys that are kind of in form or at least playing to knock the rust off? That way they figure things out.
Okay.
That's why I like
Anybody-
Cam Davis. Cam Davis
anybody
again.
else? Middle to long.
Lucas Glover is a name that popped up again. If he gets his putting back, the way he was doing last last year, I mean, he can get in there. His approach game and fairways is immaculate. And then there was one more guy I was talking to Paul about before. Matt Kuchar is a course history
Love Matt Kuchar.
stud here, and he loves Hawaii. I think he falls into that whole Chris Kirk, not a party guy. He's not sipping the Mai Tais too much.
Yeah.
He's a
Herbal-
good old
Herbal
boy,
essences, right? Herbal essences.
something like that. Yeah. But at 50 to I don't know what he's talking about either. But at 50 to 1, I'm definitely gonna have some money on Matt Kuchar. He's had like 8 top 10s I believe, out of 12 times playing. It's unreal how many. He's like the Webb Simpson here of Sony at YLI.
Heard that. Anybody else we got, Paul, on the middle to lower long shot into the spectrum?
No, I think that covers the middle stuff. Chad, did you mention Corey Connors earlier?
I did not, because everybody's on him, but
Yeah, he's
I mean,
the same way that everyone was on Colin Morikawa last week. The entire golf Twitter industry is on Corey Connors this week. He has great course history. He's gonna have to putt, and if Corey Connors can putt this week, sure. But I don't.
sometimes that's a big ask.
Yeah, I don't think he's ending up on my card.
So far, what I got so far for the card, I'm just going to kind of run through it if that's okay for you. You have Ludwig Aberg, JT Poston, Chris Kirk, Adam Svensson, Ben On, Cam Davis, Lucas Glover, and Matt Kuchar.
Yeah, that sounds decent for up to the mid.
Yeah, the pencil will get sharpened, and one or two of those guys will probably end up off. But
Heard
I
that.
think those names are all
Viable.
pretty good. So yeah, so I guess we're getting into longer shots then.
Yes, please.
Yeah, so another guy that I'm gonna say many times this season, barring injury, is Matty Schmid, Matthias Schmid.
What's his number?
I saw him at 100.
Okay.
I haven't looked at that far down the list on Hard Rock yet, but definitely shop it. And then a guy who was in Hawaii last week, didn't play the Century, but did make the broadcast, and has played well at YLI in the past, is Kevin Kisner. Now, his number's pretty long. I think he's 250 on Hard Rock, Chad mentioned earlier. And not in form recently, but has been, again, in Hawaii. He seemed to be in good spirits on the broadcast.
Probably had a few Mai Tais.
He was much better than Paul Azinger. I think anything's an improvement from Paul Azinger.
Oh yeah, the Collinsworth of golf.
I mean, the worst. But I think Kevin Kisner's a guy who might get, a sprinkle. We're not going full banana on Kisner, but I just wanted to mention him. So Matthias Schmid, and then I know there's a guy that we mentioned in our discussion of the model yesterday, and I'm going to mention him. Don't mean to take the wind out of your sails, Chad, but Taylor Pendrith just seemed to pop up. He's a guy who does these courses well, and or this style of course, and seem to fit our model. So those would be the longer shots for me.
Chad, anybody else you got?
For long shots, for me, I like a guy who finished well here last year. Pretty much lost it to Siwoo. Is Hayden Buckley. I think he's played here twice, and he's had both of them were top 20 finishes. And last year, obviously, he was second or third. I don't know how bad he fell off, but
I think second.
second, yeah, okay. And then another guy I was looking at that played very well. He's also part of the Kim family because for some reason the last 2 years Asians have taken over the Sony. So I'm going to jump on SH Kim at 151. He played here well last year. He played a couple events on the Asian tour, so he's used to that hemisphere, the time zone and everything. I want to say he was 10th or 12th here last year. So a guy that has been playing and knows the course good enough at a high number that we can get good value, I feel, is a SH Kim.
All right. Love it. Hey, one last question for you guys.
Oh, Jesus.
Tiger Woods ends his partnership with Nike.
Okay. You know, there's another guy on the Asian tour that has been playing very well. It's Taiga Simikawa. I would bet him too. He's like
Who?
250.
Oh, Simikawa?
Taiga.
Tiger.
Since we're talking about Taiga, go with
Rack
Taiga
City, bitch.
Simikawa.
Rack City, bitch. 10, 20s on your titties.
Taiga.
Taiga.
Tyga, like I was referring to. But, and
I
also,
thought you were talking about Tiger.
I was
Dude, I
talking
thought-
about Tiger. What do we think about Nike getting rid of Tiger?
Yeah, I don't think that's what happened.
You think Tiger got rid of them?
Jeff, did you check
Please.
Did you look at the group chat text
No.
from the uninformed fan?
No.
Might want to check that out.
I don't care. I want to ask a question. I don't care if they care about it or not. It
So
doesn't matter.
So it was a
All right, well,
20
wrap it up because I actually have to go. So
27-year partnership. I mean, it's
Do you think Tiger still wears red, or do you think they have the?
yeah.
Is TaylorMade available to make red? I'm
Is
sure.
he with TaylorMade now? Is that the move?
I mean,
Yes.
that's his clubs and all that. So I would say probably, yeah.
I think it's been announced.
You think Nike's just out of the golf game completely? They don't really have to like pay anybody to market. They just give people clothing and whatever.
They've got the number one guy in the world right now. Why? You know,
Yeah, I just feel like there could have been like a Tiger Woods brand. I don't know. It's just
there is.
there is.
There is.
not anymore though. Correct?
I mean,
No, that
there
brand's still
probably won't
going.
be.
Those are going to be like vintage
Tiger
clothes.
Tiger is
No.
the brand.
Yeah, he's not there anymore.
Okay.
But I think
I
that's
just
just
don't
with the
understand what's the-
sponsorship deal. I don't think that everything goes away.
Maybe they'll
So
do the SS Scotties now.
Well, I mean, like technically, Nike doesn't sponsor Michael Jordan anymore
Exactly,
yeah-
because Jordans.
because it's the Jumpman brand through Nike. I think it'll be the same thing.
Yep, I think
But it
that's
won't
probably what's going
be
to
like-
happen.
No need to give him a bag up front when you're making a bag on the backside.
they've parted ways. I mean, it was very amicable. The picture on Twitter was him and Phil Knight. You know, it's a thing. But I believe I read that he's signing with TaylorMade, and then if he decides to do apparel, which is not a big money maker as far as golf goes, then it'll be his own brand. And Tiger is the brand.
I agree.
Tiger's
with
bigger
that.
than golf.
Yeah, the split was nothing like him and Nordgren, that's for sure.
Man, Phil Knight
Who?
looks rough, huh?
Nordgren, the blonde wife he had that he cheated on all the time.
Oh,
It was
Elon.
a better. Yeah, Elon Nordgren.
Yes.
Yeah, he
Some
fucked
people
that
refer
up.
to her as-
For a Perkins
baby.
waitress.
All right, boys. Any other thoughts we got on this tournament? I don't know. I just threw that random one in there, and Jeremy tells me you don't want to talk about it, and don't ask me
Well-
about it, and blah blah blah. I don't really fucking care. So
We got prepared for it last night because we got the little insight that you were going to do it, so we had to come up with
how
something
did he
good.
get? How was there insight that I was going to do it? I never discussed this with him.
Because
at
we
all.
know you, Jeff. You asked us
Because
about these.
everything
Bro,
that's
yep.
golf related that would belong in People magazine you talk about.
Yeah. Whatever.
Did you
So,
see the
what
episode
is it
2 of Full Swing when they were talking
Shut
about
the
Brooks?
fuck up, dude. Okay.
That really
We're-
encapsulated everything right there about the state of golf.
Anything else you guys got?
We're an informative group. We're not a opinionated group. We're not like Barstool where we just sit there and talk and say all of our stupid opinions that don't mean shit.
Jeff
we give you
watches
actual
the Real
insight.
Housewives. Let's cut him some slack.
We give you
Don't
actual
understand it,
insight on how to bet golf.
You did say Callum Tarrant, right?
We did not
didn't.
say him,
Yeah.
Oh.
but I
What
feel
about
like that's the guy that's going to win this year too.
Ches Reedy.
No,
Mm.
he hasn't played it forever. He's not there. He's not going to
I
be in
know.
form.
Neither is Alex Zalatoris. Very unfortunate. All right, boys. Appreciate you. Good luck this week. I will be tailing everything.
Check the comment section or the
Ooh.
fan newsletter for Jeff's final card. We'll let him know what he's betting this week.
There you go.
You
Fade
will
Central.
Let me know at 11:45 tomorrow is when you will let me know what the final card is, and I will be.
We're gonna try to get it in a little.
We're going to try. Yeah.
No, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much. Honestly.
Did you
appreciate
get your
coming
bets
at
in
me,
last
but
week, Jeff?
I did. I got most of them. in.
Okay.
There was
That's
a
all that
few-
matters.
There's a few at the end that you sprinkled on me that I was unable to procure the top 20, top 5, top 10, top 5s, but that's fine.
I think the two that I sprinkled on you came through, didn't they?
They did, but I only had those. I had them bet outright.
Oh. Sorry.
Okay. Don't worry about it. I appreciate you. I love you. Look forward to seeing you guys maybe tonight, maybe sometime soon. Thank you guys for dropping in and imparting knowledge on us. Appreciate you.
How was my sound this week? I'm using a new headset.
You sound fantastic.
It's really low.
My
But
brother and sister-in-law, a new headset.
But I will look at that as actually no. I've got you cranked all the way up, so we'll have to
He
look at
sounds
the
great.
replay.
He sounds great
How
on
did-
my end.
How did I
Okay.
sound?
You sound like you're in a car driving to work.
Yeah, that's because that's what it was.
Oh,
I like that.
all right, boys. You guys have a great day. Appreciate you guys.
Bye,
Check.
Tyson. Catch that bus, buddy.
Chad, good,
Hey.
good luck this weekend against the Packers, bro.
Thank you guys, and Tyson, good luck with that first pick.
Thank you. Appreciate
Don't screw it up. All right.
We will. Don't you worry. Well, that's going to do. Absolutely. That's going to do it for us today on the Uninformed Fan. We'll be back Friday to break down all of the NFL playoff picks and all of the selections. Will the Bucks move on? Will the Cowboys get hosed as usual?
Where are you going?
I have things to do.
What do you have to do?
It's 12:30. I have things to do.
12:20.
Yeah. Thank you. Would you like anything to close us out, Jeffrey?
No.
Have a great day, everybody. Please stay out of the left-hand
great.
lane. We'll see you Friday.